This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com with a fan requested subject that I'll jump into right now. He wanted me to compare the ratings of AEW and WWE this week compared to what WWE and WCW got the same week in 98. As you can imagine, the difference is very significant. SmackDown on Friday did a 0.5. Raw did a 0.42. Dynamite this week did a 0.31. And Rampage the previous Friday did a 0.13. Their Rampage rating from this Friday isn't out yet. Now, let's look at the same week in 1998, the January 18th. 98 Nitro did a 4.52 rating, and the repeat did a 2.19. So the repeat did more than Raw and SmackDown and Rampage and Dynamite's rating combined, just to give you an idea of how popular wrestling was. And the same night, Raw did a 3.46 rating. So probably the reason the repeat did well of Nitro is because people that were watching Raw watched the Nitro repeat later on. Thunder did a 3.65, and that was considered a secondary show. I mean, that still kicks the combined ratings of today. Main Event, which was a lower show that I believe aired, I forget if it was Saturday or Sunday mornings on TBS, it did a 0.9. When was the last time WWE hit a 0.9? I mean, the very first episode of SmackDown on Fox, I think, did a 1 point something. But yeah, like the lowest show on here, Main Event, 0.9. That's pretty damn good compared to today. WCW Saturday night, which was far from a top program back then, did a 2.5. WWE Superstars did a 1.9, and Livewire did a 1.4. So Livewire, which was a pretty crappy show, did a 1.4. So almost triple what SmackDown did. So there you go. Jason Knight, who, by the way, Ric Flair wrestled on that Nitro, or did an in-ring segment with Bret Hart on Nitro this week in 98. And a guy that's appearing on the Great North Wrestling podcast with Jack Kilby tonight is Jason Knight, who once wrestled Ric Flair in an enhancement match right here in Ottawa, Canada, back in 1992. And then he went on to ECW fame, so that's going to be live at 8 p.m. tonight. PN News canceled again today. He said he's gonna do it tomorrow. We'll see. What do I think about Warner Brothers not allowing Briscoe's tribute? It's not surprising. They're a corporation. And it is funny. WWE had Michael Cole say something that they were one of the greatest tag teams and allowed wrestlers to wear armbands, but they wouldn't touch them either. So they can act like the nice guys after the fact, but they didn't hire them. And I even heard Dave Meltzer say the Briscoes were a lot better than the Usos. And I'm not saying the Usos are a bad team, but I don't find them particularly entertaining. I think they're overrated. But they're better than FTR. They're way better than FTR. Somebody says ratings. Wrestling is dead, man. Come on. Well, people still want to know about the comparisons. That's why you're watching. Jason, yes, people follow other stuff, and there's Jack Kilby himself talking about that podcast. Come in tonight. Did MMA help kill pro wrestling? Not really, no, because MMA still doesn't get as high ratings as wrestling usually. They do better on pay-per-views, but the lack of stars and the if you watch the Nitro 98, it's a hell I could watch the whole thing. I can't even sit through a 3-minute highlight of today's wrestling. So the quality you can actually pinpoint when WWE went corporate in '99. It started to get less and less entertaining. The angles started to go bad, but they still had big stars like The Rock, Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan, Nash. Hall was around up into the early 2000s, like 2002 ish. So they still had top stars, and then it started to teach right around 2003. It really started to drop downhill real fast, and it's never really recovered. Sam, no, Michael hasn't looked good for a while due to ALS, but he is still fighting. Lowest ratings than ever, but they make more money than ever. It's because there's more ways to make money now than there was back then, through streaming and stuff. So it's just the way it is. But one of the reasons they want to sell is it's not going to last forever. These ridiculous streaming deals. Fox is already. It's already been reported that Fox is losing money on their deal with WWE for SmackDown, and so is Peacock. But Peacock needs content for their Peacock network, and they're worth hundreds of billions. I think 160 something billion. So they can afford to take a bit of a loss, but it's not going to last forever. Frank, storylines were better back then. My weekend, I've had good workouts. I'm about to go do another workout now. Yeah. Pro wrestler. The other difference between today and before, that most of the pro wrestlers now are amateurs. They hire wrestlers from college or as college athletes or whatever, put them in NXT for a couple years, then put them on TV. Whereas in the past, like in the 90s, the wrestlers had been wrestling for a long time in the territories, and they really took the top wrestlers from the territories. Now they don't necessarily take the top wrestlers. Nobody like Randy Savage anymore. No. WWE has more YouTube subscribers than ESPN and MMA channels combined. Yeah, that's true. But keep in mind, they also have all the classic content, and they were one of the first people to get on YouTube. But it's not just their today's product. TNA Impact has 4 million YouTube subscribers. But you can't say that is due to their talent today, because they're lucky if they get 500 people for a pay-per-view today. And they're lucky if they get 150 for a TV taping, but they do have 4 million YouTube subscribers, but they have like 2 decades of YouTube videos out there. So yeah, I'm not denying WWE's YouTube income alone is going to be millions and millions and millions and millions. Yes, better characters back then. Sylvia, no, I'm not going to wrestle again. Brett says it's dying. Well, when it became publicly traded, Brett, they had to become corporate, and it just became way more boring. More writers came in. They had to please the investors and the stockholders, and they couldn't be as controversial as they once were. So that's when it started to go down. You can see actually within 3 to 5 years after they became publicly traded, they were making more money than ever, so it was worth it for them. But the entertainment value went down. Colonel Quayle, PN News. I don't know what's going on with him. He's delayed twice. Billy's still in the hospital. He's He's still fighting in the hospital, but I don't think he's in. He's got a lot of issues, but he's not as close to death as he was a week ago. Livewire was hosted by Shane McMahon's spouse. I did not know that. Todd Pettengill was the host at 1.2, and so was Michael P.S. Hayes. Well, yes, Colonel Quayle. I don't necessarily say MMA is not dangerous, but you can at least block. And there's not 100% chance you're going to get brain damage in MMA. Where slap fight, you're getting hits to the head no matter what, because you're not allowed to defend yourself. So that's the problem with it. As far as MMA, I'm honestly not that big of a fan. That's why, for the question of the guy before, did MMA take over wrestling? A lot of it's really boring. I don't mind watching the highlights, or if I hear something's really entertaining, watching it. But other than the Francis Ngannou, and now there's so much talk of John Jones and Cyril Gane, Conor McGregor, like the very top people, it doesn't really interest me. Rhino no-showed on me once, so I've always kind of held a grudge over that. So I don't know if I'll ever interview him. Roland, well, I would say WWE's YouTube subscriber count is damn impressive at 90 billion. Yes, people subscribe and unsubscribe all the time to all YouTube channels, including mine, but I usually get more subscribers than unsubscribers for varying reasons. People get sick of wrestling and they unsubscribe for a bit. Maybe they subscribe back. I don't know. Maybe I say something that pisses them off and they unsubscribe. I'm sure it's similar with WWE, but 90 million, they're probably making in the hundreds of millions from YouTube alone. Bob, yes, wrestling had better characters back then. Robert, I think Steve Corino works for WWE, and they don't let their people do interviews with me. Someone says, when WWE kills off the Bloodline storyline, where do they go from there? I never liked the Bloodline storyline. It's boring to me. It's too many in-ring long promos. Jason gives prayers for Billy Graham. Hit the like button. I agree. Support your local independent promotions 2023. Well, that goes for Great North Wrestling too. I'm going to be airing it on this channel, but it's Jack Kilby that is putting it together this year as the executive vice president. So more information on that, I'm sure, is going to be released soon, but it's looking like there's going to be 2 events in the spring. So if you're in the Ottawa area, look forward to that. I'm going off to the gym. Have a great evening.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos,